What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the No Fun League. Today we have the 2021 NFL Draft, and like I said last episode, this draft class is like the first one where we see a fall off because of like COVID, NIL, whatever else was happening. But towards the end of this draft, like towards the end of this first round, like y'all will see, major drop off in terms of like names. They're still talented players, but like they would not normally go in the first round for redraft. But they weren't a lot of like standout late round picks outside of a very notable few because I believe like the COVID year and everything like that. But let's get right into it. The Jaguars picked Trevor Lawrence with the number one overall pick. I have them taking Trevor Lawrence again. 12,000 yards, 63 touchdowns, 44 interceptions, 63% completion rate, and 6 game winning drives in 3 years. And the Jaguars had the number one overall seed last year before he got hurt. And then he tried to play through injury and did not play very well, which is why the overall like reputation and like Trevor Lawrence discourse is slightly negative and like, oh, he needs to prove it, which he does, but I think that he is definitely still like capable of being the guy that came into the NFL with all the hype that he had, for sure. So he goes one again. At 2, the Jets pick Zach Wilson. I do not have them taking Zach Wilson again. Coming out of college, I thought that he was going to be pretty good. He had the arm strength, he had the moxie, so to speak. Not really, though, as we found out, like, was pretty bad with the media in New York, and a lot of stories and shit popped up, as we all know if you were on the internet 2 summers ago. But never really, like, stood out or put it all together, which is hard to do with the Jets because they were a dumpster fire anyways. But even in spite of that, he was never really that good. I have them taking Micah Parsons instead. Just insane numbers for only 3 seasons. 45 sacks, 50 hurries, 51 tackles for loss, and 7 forced fumbles. As a Giants fan, I can speak to it. Just insane football player, and definitely the second best player in this draft class. Or not even. He's the best player, but quarterback gets priority. At 3, the Niners picked Trey Lance, another guy who I don't think got a real shot. He played like 3 total games and was pretty decent in the one game that he started. But just injuries and things like that led to the 49ers moving on for him. And obviously Brock Purdy happened the next year, so they kind of had to. But I had them taking quarterback. I have them taking Mac Jones. 9,100 yards, 48 touchdowns, 38 interceptions. But his rookie year, before Matt Patricia and Joe Judge showed up and ruined him, 24 touchdowns, 15 picks. That is a pretty damn good rookie year for a quarterback. It tied the previous record for touchdowns that Baker Mayfield and Daniel Jones hit before Herbert and Stroud obliterated them. But he was a good quarterback his rookie year, and everybody thought that, oh, okay, the Patriots found another guy. And then it went downhill very quickly after that. They never really had any weapons. You put him in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan. He has Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, and, whether or not they get McCaffrey, like Elijah Mitchell's still a pretty good running back. So his career would be much better. I don't think he would be anywhere as close as good as Brock Purdy is right now in San Francisco, but he would still be good, and it's the pick that makes the most sense at the time, given how much they traded up to get to 3. At 4, the Falcons picked Kyle Pitts. Once again, a guy that I thought would be much better than he's been so far, but it's also only been 3 seasons for all of these players. I have them taking Pat Surtain. 7 interceptions, 24 pass breakups, 60% catch percentage allowed. A really, really good cornerback. Pairing him with A.J. Terrell would give them a really good cornerback room for years to come. They're struggling to find out who their number 2 corner is right now. It might be like Clark Phillips, who is 5'7" or something like that. So definitely a position that they have a need at, and I think they're using their resources much better going with a corner instead of a tight end at 4. Something that the Falcons can learn about is using resources. But at 5, the Bengals picked Jamar Chase. Obviously, they are picking Jamar Chase again in this redraft. 313 catches, 4,300 yards, 32 touchdowns. Like his LSU running mate, Justin Jefferson, he is about to get a massive bag, and just another really great player. At 6, the Dolphins picked Jalen Waddle. I have them going receiver, but not Waddle. Even though I think he's great, I have them going with Amon-Ra St. Brown. 3,800 yards, 337 catches, 22 touchdowns. Just a phenomenal late-round pick by Detroit. This is the draft that catapulted them into the team that they are now, in a way, with Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown coming in, among others. But just a really good player, can do everything at the receiver position, block even, and I have the Dolphins getting the more complete receiver over the flashier one. At 7, the Lions picked Penei Sewell. I have them taking him again. 3,000 snap seasons in 3 years, 8 sacks allowed. And he's played left tackle and right tackle because of the injury situations on the team. Just another insanely great young offensive tackle, which are very hard to find. At 8, the Panthers picked J.C. Horn. I have them going with a pick in the secondary, but safety. Javon Holland, 5 sacks, 187 tackles, 6 interceptions, 13 pass breakups. A really, really good player. Someone that I think is a little underrated in NFL circles right now, but I think he's going to have a really great year this year. And just, put him in the Panther secondary, and you have a building block for years to come. At 9, the Broncos picked Pat Surtain. Obviously, he's gone. I have them taking Rashawn Slater. 2,000 snap seasons, had a torn ACL 1 year, I believe. 8 sacks allowed. 8 sacks allowed. So, has played less than Sewell, let up the same amount of sacks. Another really great player from Northwestern at the offensive line position. At 10, the Eagles picked Devontae Smith. I have them going with Jalen Waddle. 3,400 yards, 18 touchdowns, 256 catches, and an absolute speed demon. Him opposite A.J. Brown right now would be even better duo than him and Devontae Smith, in my opinion. No offense to Devontae Smith. I think he's a great player. At 11, the Bears traded up to get Justin Fields. I have them taking Elijah Vera-Tucker instead. He has a lot of injuries that have happened to him, but he's played 1,000 snap season, and he has 5 sacks allowed in his career, and he's literally played like 3 or 4 different positions heavily in his career so far. But injuries have been the major culprit so far. When he's healthy, he's a really good lineman. At 12, the Cowboys picked Michael Parsons. I have them taking Christian Barmore, and this is where we start to see like talent deficiencies, because Christian Barmore isn't like an all-star Pro Bowl caliber player. He can be, but not yet. And a lot of the other ones, we've had guys that are like already like solidified names. That also, some of that has to do with like these guys have only played 3 years, but there is a major talent deficiency in 21 and 22 drafts because of, like I said, COVID, NIL, and some other things. But Christian Barmore, 13 sacks, 21 hurries, 18 tackles for loss. A really good, consistent interior defensive lineman, which the Cowboys needed at the time. At 13, the Chargers picked Rashawn Slater. I had them taking Trey Smith. 3,000 snap seasons, 9 sacks allowed at guard. He fell in the draft because of health reasons, but obviously he's been healthy so far in the NFL. Knock on wood. And, the Chiefs are able to steal him in the 4th or 5th round because of that injury concern. And it helped rebuild their offensive line after that abysmal performance against Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. But Trey Smith is a great guy to have on the offensive line, especially for the Chargers who need it. At 14, the Jets picked Elijah Vera-Tucker. He's obviously gone. I have them taking Landon Dickerson. 2,000 snap seasons, 8 sacks allowed. Another really good, consistent lineman who just got paid. At 15, the Patriots picked Mac Jones. I have them taking Talanoa Hufanga. 145 tackles, 7 interceptions, 9 pass breakups. A revelation at safety for the Niners, was hurt last year during the Super Bowl run. I think that game might have a different outcome if he's back there, but just another really great player. At 16, the Cardinals picked Zaven Collins, another linebacker that they don't know how to use properly, but I have them taking just a better player in general. Nick Bolton, another Chiefs pick, 311 tackles, 8 interceptions, 5 sacks. Just a big playmaker, helped them win a Super Bowl against the Eagles with the scoop and score fumble, and would be a presence for the Cardinals defense for years to come. At 17, the Raiders picked Alex Leatherwood, another Raiders bust. I have them taking Christian Darrisaw, the tackle that went to Minnesota later in the first round. 16 sacks allowed, 2 900 snap seasons. So not as good as some of the other linemen that have gone, but still a good, consistent young player. At 18, the Dolphins picked Jalen Phillips. I had them taking Devontae Smith. 3,300 yards, 20 touchdowns, 267 catches. They add Amon-Ra and Devontae Smith in the same draft class. Just best player available and the guys that deserve to go. At 19, Washington picked Jamin Davis. I have them taking Justin Fields. 6,600 yards, 40 touchdowns, 30 picks, 2,200 rush yards, 14 rushing touchdowns. And Chicago ruins quarterbacks, so does Washington, so it's not like a better overall situation, especially with the entire Dan Snyder thing still being there at the time. But it's just a guy that still is a first-round capable talent, in my opinion. At 20, the Giants picked Kadarius Toney after trading back. Awful pick. Just absolutely awful pick. More rap songs than notable moments in the NFL career, probably ever, because even the Chiefs have... I don't think he's going to get a lot of playing time for the Chiefs unless he changes his entire lifestyle drastically. But I have them taking Creed Humphrey. 3,000 snap season, 7 sacks allowed. The Giants drafted John Michael Schmitz last year, which hopefully will solve the center issues. But they haven't had a good, reliable center in a very long time. And Creed Humphrey gives them that. He is just an absolute beast. And, we've already had Trey Smith, Nick Bolton, Creed Humphrey go. 3 Chiefs players in the later rounds have already gone. They had a really good draft this year. At 21, the Colts picked Kwity Paye. I had them taking Trey Lance. 54% completion, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And he's basically played 3 to 4 games in his career. And those are decent numbers for a rookie quarterback in that time. You give him Nick Sirianni, or was this the Sirianni year? I'm not sure. I don't think so. But you give him the Colts, who were good at developing quarterbacks, and, you let him develop in a less pressure environment, less pressure to win now, and I think he can be a really good quarterback in the NFL if his development was handled much differently, because I think, like I said, the Niners gave up on him very quickly because they are in win-now mode, and he wasn't able to give them that. At 22, the Titans picked Caleb Farley. I had them taking Sam Cosmi instead. 1,000 snap season, 10 sacks allowed. Another team that has always struggled for a tackle since Taylor Lewan started having injuries, retired. Isaiah Wilson didn't work out. They signed Andre Dillard last year. That was an awful signing. But, Sam Cosmi isn't a standout by any means, but he's still a decent lineman, which is important to have on your team. At 23, the Vikings picked Christian Darrisaw. I had them taking Jalen Phillips. 27 sacks, 30 hits. Had injuries, but a really good player in my opinion. At 24, the Steelers picked Najee Harris. I have them taking Kyle Pitts instead. 149 catches, 2,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. He has not been used very well in Atlanta, and obviously the whole Arthur Smith conversation with how the weapons are used is a big one, and we'll see how it's different this year with Zach Robinson in Atlanta. But I think him in Pittsburgh could be a really good fit with Ben Roethlisberger at the time, and then everybody that came down the line. At 25, the Jaguars picked Travis Etienne. I had them taking Nico Collins instead, stealing him from a division rival. 2,300 yards, 161 catches, 12 touchdowns. Has only had really one big season, which was last year with C.J. Stroud. But, getting him and Trevor Lawrence in there at the same time, let them build chemistry. I think he can be as good as he showed how good he can be last year, where he was a number 1 receiver on one of the best teams in football. At 26, the Browns picked Greg Newsome. I had them taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who they picked in the second round. 194 tackles, 7 sacks, 2 interceptions in 3 years. A guy, I don't know what's happening outside, guys, but a guy that I really wanted the Giants to take in the second round this year, and a really great player and underrated linebacker. At 27, the Ravens picked Rashad Bateman, and I think for 5th or 6th time, I have the Ravens taking a running back, Travis Etienne. 2,300 yards, 17 touchdowns, can be a weapon out of the backfield, can run the ball well, just a really good, versatile running back to have in the room. At 28, the Saints picked Peyton Turner. I had them taking Greg Rousseau. 20 sacks, 25 hits, and 95 tackles in his career. Another really good up-and-coming edge rusher, in my opinion. At 29, the Packers picked Eric Stokes. I had them taking Jamin Davis. 5 sacks, 191 tackles. And, If he's used in a better role and better team, I think he can be a better player. At 30, the Bills picked Greg Rousseau. I have them taking Quinn Miners, solidifying the offensive line even more. 1,000 snap season, 8 sacks allowed. At 31, the Ravens picked Odafe Owe. I had them taking Aleem McNeil. 15 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, 65 tackles. Another really good interior lineman for Detroit. Yet another Detroit pick. And at 32, the Bucks picked Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. I had them taking Najee Harris. 3,300 yards, 22 touchdowns, 3.9 yards per carry. They had Leonard Fournette the Super Bowl run year. He wasn't that good after. You have 1 more year left to Brady, or 2 more years rather, because he retired and then came back. Give him a better running back compliment, and you're able to run the ball a little bit better because the offensive line was really good. But like I said, the talent drop-off is real. The last 4 picks were Jamin Davis, not a Pro Bowl guy. Quinn Miners, not a Pro Bowl guy. Aleem McNeil, not really a Pro Bowl guy unless something drastic happens. And Najee Harris, who most likely is not going to get paid by the Steelers this year after the season is over. So, like I said, COVID, harder to evaluate talent, and the COVID years, NIL, people staying longer, all of that, I think, combined to make this draft class especially not that good. The quarterbacks didn't really pan out outside of Trevor and just in general. But thank you guys for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you for the 2022 redraft soon. Peace.